Guys, I've got a different and somewhat unique metal rhythm guitar lesson for you today, and I'm still not quite sure what I'm calling this video. Of course, by the time I post it, I'll have a cool title up there, but this is not something I've ever covered before on my channel, but it's going to be something that you're going to think about from now on every time you pick up your guitar and go start playing metal riffs, especially when you're writing your own metal riffs. This is something that's really going to trigger your mind and open up more possibilities. So what I want you to do is listen to this. I think it's like a 20-second clip that I'm going to share with you here. You're going to hear a riff that's played twice, but the second time I play that riff, you'll notice my fingers are somewhere different. And that's what we're going to talk about. So here's the clip. Now, of course, at the end of this video, I've got a little surprise. I've actually extended what you heard, and I've got something else that I'm doing with it at the end of the video. It's not even really relevant to what we're going over in this lesson, but hang around anyway because it's kind of cool. So let's start out by playing the first part of that riff. Let me, I hope this thing is on. Yes, on. So here we go. That was the first time around, okay? That little riff, what we played here was... And basically all I'm doing here, I'm not so much concerned that you learn the riff note for note. It's the concept that we want to get across here. But the riff here is just on the E and the A strings. I'm starting out on that 5th fret and then kind of going backwards, 8, 7, 5, and then the same thing on the A string. Then I hit that open A string, and what I'm doing after that open A string, I'm going to leave it open and I'm going to come back down on that 5th fret and just slide and do my little hammer-on pull-off. So here it is again. And I'm just hammer on and pulling off on the, what is that, the 10th, 12th, so 10, 12, 10, and then open. So that's all I'm doing. That's the first part of that riff. Now, I do something after that to kind of break it up. I'll just do the same thing, but instead of that little hammer on pull off, I'll go to a CG. It's got a really nice classic heavy metal feel to it, kind of like that. I just made this up, by the way. I started playing this little riff. I'm like, you know, I'm playing this differently the second time around, which we're about to get to, and then I'm going to share why I'm playing it different. But I'm just messing around, and I'm like, this is a cool lesson. I like this riff, and I'll probably end up using this for something down the road. Who knows? But anyway, let me play it for you the second time around. So let me play it for you the first way first. Then I'm going to play the second time, the second way. And I want you to see if you notice the difference. My question to you is, did you notice any differences? Mainly any differences in the tone, like kind of like the character that you get with that. And did you also notice a difference in the vibe, in the feel of the song? So let me play those two, just those two riffs. I'm going to play them back to back. Actually, I might go through them a couple of times. I want you to listen, because as you're listening to this, I want you to think about, you know, what you hear, what the different vibes are. Listen to these two riffs. Pretty much the same riffs, but different. There is one slight little difference in the pull-off note that I do because of the string that I'm on. So when I'm on that A string, I'm pulling off 10, 12, 10, and then open A. Now when I'm on the D string, I'm pulling off 5, 7, 5, open D. So there is a slight little difference, so I'm not playing exactly the same thing, but for the most part it's the same. And here's the thing about these two little riffs, and this is what I want you to think about when you're playing riffs, whether you're learning someone else's riff, like you're learning this one, or you're writing your own. This is really more so for writing your own riffs and just thinking of the different character that you want for your song, for your riff. How do you want this to sound? What kind of tone do you want it to have? What kind of vibe are you trying to give off here? And I'm going to share some things I notice, and of course I want you to share again in the comments some things you notice, some differences you notice, and hey, tell me what you like best. So this part right here, the first way I play it, rather, the first part. So the vibe that I get from that method of playing it is just really kind of brings me back to this really just raw classic heavy metal vibe. Now of course I've got like a classic metal tone on my EVH amp. I'm using the blue channel here, by the way. I'll give you a screenshot real quick of my settings here. Again, this is a blue channel. It's not the fire breathing red channel. No pedals, nothing fancy. I'm just plugged straight in through the amp. I've actually got the gain cranked up because the blue channel's not that high powered, but it just gives you kind of that classic metal, or you can dial it down and have a classic rock sound. Anyway, I got off topic with that, but the vibe of this riff here, just forget the amp, just the vibe of the riff kind of brings me back to that raw classic heavy metal tone. Now, let me play it the second way, and I want to just kind of give you my thoughts on this way. All right, now that way, okay, and again, the first part of the riff is exactly the same, but that way, when we're playing that hammer-on pull-off on that D string, to me, it kind of pushes the era up a little bit. It kind of gives me more of maybe like a later 80s vibe, almost like a hairband vibe, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of that has to do is because I'm playing that riff on the D string, so I'm playing on a lighter string, per se, and then the notes sound different, right? The notes sound different on the D string than those exact same notes played on the A string. Listen to this. You can almost get a little bit better pinch harmonic. I do like a very light pinch harmonic when I'm playing that. You can barely hear it, but it's very subtle when I'm playing it on the D string. You can hear that tiny little hint of a pinch harmonic there. It just kind of rings out a little bit more on that D string. So to me personally, and maybe it's just because of the era I grew up in, again, that first riff is more like that really classic heavy metal vibe that I would maybe hear in like a Priest, or maybe even a Sabbath song if they did something like that. But then that second way I play it on the D string, you know, it's a little bit brighter with that D string. It's a little bit more tinny sounding, and again, you got that slight little pinch harmonic in there. Just gives you a different feel, and it kind of takes me to like maybe the later 80s metal, like the later 80s, maybe even hair metal if you want to go there. But I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, this is more of like that Dokken, maybe Queensryche and Scorpions and several other bands in that era. The reason why this is so important though, guys, is as you're writing your riffs, know that you don't have to stick to one place on the fretboard to play those riffs. Like if you're writing this really cool riff and you're playing on the A string, try to replicate that somewhere else on the E or the D string, right? Or if it's on the E string, maybe even play it a higher octave, which would require you to play it on a different string. And just, you know, play around with that. Even though they're the same notes, you're going to get some different textures. You're going to get a little bit different character. So play around with that. And I told you, this lesson is going to change the way you approach writing riffs. It's going to change everything, because now you're going to be like, okay, I like this riff, but Jason said to play those notes on a different string, different place on the fretboard. And again, sometimes it might even be a completely different octave. Like we didn't play a different octave here. We played the exact same riff. You know, one riff on the A string down here, and then we played it again on the D string a little further up the neck here. But you can even play riffs in different octaves. Actually, let's see what that sounds like real quick. Okay, so that was a little bit different. Not sure if I like that, but maybe I play it the other way, you know, the first time around, and go to the higher octave the second time around. Okay, so that might work, and maybe you have one guitar playing the lower part, maybe you have a second guitar playing the higher octave there. So that's something that you could consider as well. And what I'm really trying to do here, I'm not trying to confuse you guys, but I'm just trying to kind of help open that door to all of the other possibilities that you have out there, instead of thinking in terms of, well, this is the riff that I wrote. Okay, I like it. And you may stick with that, nothing wrong with that, but I just want you to think kind of outside of that and, well, let me play those notes in a different area. Let me see what they sound like. Let me play this exact riff on a lower or higher string using the same notes, right? Or the exact same notes like we did in the first time around. Or you may say, well, let me play it an octave lower or octave higher. Let me see what that sounds like. Okay, that's okay. What if I switch them off and on like we just did? So again, this is just kind of to help you open up that pathway, open up that door to all these other possibilities. And I think you can do some really amazing things with this concept here. So please let me know if this helped. Oh, I do have a surprise for you real quick. I kind of expanded this. I kind of expanded this little riff here just to add a little guitar solo towards the end. I think it's only like 30 seconds. So check this out. Guys, if you don't have my free practice guide, Metal Riffs and Licks, make sure you download a copy of that. There's a link in the description of this YouTube video. That's pretty much turned into like a mini guitar course now, the video, and it's got some tabs that you can download, got some other cool stuff. So yeah, grab your copy of that. If you've already got that, you know your next natural step is to get into my Metal Riff Master course. Actually, I just updated the course with a brand new lesson series. So a lot of you who are in the course, well, all of you who are in the course, you just got that free update. So that's pretty cool. And of course, if you buy it now, you'll get the same update as well. But yeah, check that out. Links are in the description of this video. And again, I'd like you to comment your thoughts on the two types of riffs that we started out with. I know I kind of extended the path there, kind of went off on another different tangent. But again, I wanted you guys just to see the other possibilities that there are when you're writing your riffs, when you're playing your riffs. Even if you're playing someone else's riff, hey, try playing it a different way. Play it, an octave higher, octave lower, or play it on a different string. Play some of the notes on a different string, right? You don't have to play the whole thing on a different string. Just play some of the notes like we did in the beginning. Just try out these different things. And again, I don't think you're gonna approach riff writing the same way anymore. You've now opened up the path to all these other possibilities. So I'm really excited for you guys to see what you come up with. So yeah, leave me some comments down below. You guys know I always at least acknowledge your comment, and I try to respond as best as I possibly can. So guys, again, thank you for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you guys. Until the next video, well, you know what to do. Keep it metal.